guys would like to introduce yourselves and give a brief description of the Novus, what you are and what you're about.
Go on, Con.
I'm Connor here, and that's Tyler down there. And we are half of the band The Novus. We're a sort of post-punk alternative band that focus on writing songs about dystopian views, ideologies, but also real life as well, and things that we experience, and try to turn it into a happy place for people, but also a place where people can self-reflect.
So how did you guys first form as The Novus?
Basically, when we've all been mates since like school, so since we've all been like 11, we've been friends. Connor will tell you that we used to bully him. It's not true.
They're assholes, nasty people.
We've been in bands together for ages, and Connor was in this band that me and Tom were also in. But it was like a metal band, and they just kicked me out without telling me. Pure just kicked me out. Me and Tom went to see them, and then we were like, oh, Connor's actually alright, you know. And then we just basically said to him, like, we've got this project called The Novus, do you want to be in it? But it'll like require your full commitment, basically. And he was just like, yeah. And then since then we met Ewan like a few years ago. And here we are.
What artists have massively influenced you guys as a band?
I mean, Tyler will probably go through the actual influences, but I think we constantly listen to new music. So there's a lot of bands that we listen to. I'd say that we're influenced by our surroundings quite a lot. So at the moment, I'm listening to a lot of, Fontaines, Shame, Murder Capital, that sort of thing. But then also, The Blinders, Cabbage, that sort of era as well. We get Black Sabbath quite a lot, but and Joy Division. I don't know what Tyler has to say about that. To be fair,
it's a weird one, man, because it's like we don't have like one band that we all just collectively go for. We all bring our own thing to it, really. And it's like we don't actively get influenced by the bands, as I'm sure like no one really does. We tend to get influenced, like Connor says, about a lot of things around us. But it's like I was brought up listening to like metal. Connor's mom was a singer. Are we allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. Tom was brought up listening to like ska and indie, and actually, like, believe it or not, Tom introduced me to indie. Like I just listened to like solid metal and like 80s rock, 70s rock growing up, and then Tom showed me Arctic Monkeys. You what?
You used to have long ginger hair.
It wasn't ginger, man. Look at this. It's my natural colour. But yeah, Tom introduced me to Arctic Monkeys, and I don't know, it's weird. We get asked the influence question a lot, but we can never really put a finger on it.
Yeah, so like speaking of like different bands and like specific songs, are there any like elements, either a song or an artist, or like maybe even an album, that you guys try to artistically embed into yourselves, like you really feel comes through in your sound?
Again, I think we very much try
and do our own thing, man. Like,
try to do our own thing. There's a lot of influences. I'd say there's a lot of albums as well that, I tend to listen more to albums rather than to individual songs, because I feel like they tell more of a story. And if they don't tell a story, then it's not really an album, because the whole point of an album is a collective body of work that's meant to tell a story. I think I probably take that more away than influences of actual music. I tend to embed and enjoy albums more that tell a story. Like, again, the Blinders Columbia album is a story, effectively. Fontaine's Dog Roar, when Feelings Fade, Murder Capital, that sort of thing. They're all bands that are really taking the story and show idea more on than this is just a body of work, this is just music that we've wrote and put out.
Yeah, I think we like linger a lot more on, as cringy as it might be perceived, like a feeling or a vibe or something, rather than collections of work themselves.
Yeah, so before we talk more about like you guys as a band, we want to talk about something that obviously is affecting everyone at the moment, and hence why we're doing this interview over Zoom, the coronavirus. So we want to know, how would you guys say that this is affecting you guys as a band right now?
I mean,
we're going mad.
Everything's cancelled. We've probably had about 12 or 13 dates cancelled. The next date we're looking at the moment to play, the next one that we've got booked, is Bank Holiday weekend in August.
And I think we'll be lucky if that goes ahead, man.
Yeah, it's hell on, especially when you feel like you were just about to get to be going somewhere and doing things. We were about to do like a really big tour we were about to announce, and that never came to fruition. And then realistically, all we can do is just send demos to each other and write that way, which is really difficult because we tend to
write our best stuff
write separately. We do a lot separately, and then we bring it all together and we spend hours and hours on end going through it and seeing what works and seeing doesn't. And it's really hard over the internet. But I guess it's really trying to find technology that works for us. And
everyone's got to adapt, man, and it's just finding, picking up on what everyone else is doing, seeing what you can do. And man, we're entertainers. Like, we are creatives. We've got to try, and this is probably the one time what we do is more important than ever, and everyone's kind of trying to have to find ways to do it normally again. So it's a struggle, man.
I think when this is all over, I hope that communities and even people who don't go to gigs just go to venues and go and support the venues because they need to. Because it's, can you imagine? Venues are on their arse anyway, let alone having 6 months out of money.
I think you've touched on this a little bit there, but what do you reckon the biggest impact that this is giving on like unsigned bands, independent venues, and just like the more underground scene in general?
You tend to find that bands, when they get now in our day and age, when they tend to get a bit of hype, it goes like that very quickly rather than a steady gradual rise. Like I keep using the example of Fontaines, but that's the best example I know of people who have just gone from selling 100 tickets to 5,000 in a year. Bands that were just on the cusp of doing what Fontaines did will effectively have to start all over again because the hype's gone. Playing gigs every day for 18 months now is the way you do things and the way you make it. I think a lot of people will change their style and the way that they are as well, but which isn't a bad thing. But I think there's a lot of time where people can think and do things properly, and sometimes the best way to do things is in music is when you do have deadlines and you sort of like to a pressure point, because sometimes your best work comes out and you can't really say how long this is going to last, so I can't tell you how big the impact's going to be. I just think venues really need to be supported as soon as this is over.
That's the thing, man. We're bands, man. We're all artists. We're all used to fucking having no money. Like that's normal to us. Like, yes, we've got less money than normal now because of it. We're having to find other ways to make money. But you got to think, man, these are businesses, venues. Like, they have to pay rent, bills, so many fees that we just don't have to pay sitting here doing nothing because we're not a business. But they're the ones that make what we do. The real focus needs to be there at the minute, I think.
Yeah, kind of like sticking to talking about like the scene in general at the moment. Do you guys have any experiences like kind of over the last couple of years like on making it yourself that you particularly like remember well?
I think the hitting point for us when we really started to change as a band was when we first played in London. I think it was our first out of town gig and we felt like we had really had something to prove because we'd just been put on the bill 2 days before. After that, I think it's just been a whirlwind of going up and down the country, having new experiences and feeling like we've got something to prove. As much as people say, like, it's weird when we hear people say, oh, the Novus are massive from Birmingham. In its entirety, we're not. We're just a band that are still growing. We have something to prove, and it's something that we want to make sure we can do in an effective way. Building an audience is hard, especially in grassroots music. You just got to tap into the right people, and I think what we're doing is including people in more than just a gig and more than just music. We wanted to try and make a family sort of atmosphere, and that everyone's welcome at our shows and that our music isn't just a piece of work, it's something that people can relate to.
A big thing for us as well, like, we played so many shows just in 2020 alone. I think we played something stupid like 15 shows, and like last year I think we didn't even play that many in total or something ridiculous like that. But my point is, we get to see so many bands and so many artists and so many gigs, and you just see, like, I hate to drag anyone down, but you see a lot of the same. You see carbon copies of the same band, the same people going to see them, and like for us it's just like, to get any sort of attention on you, you got to make yourself stand out, and like it's hard to do that when there is so many bands that are just four white lads, because that's what we are. And like, for us to stand out, we've got to think outside the box.
Sticking on the topic of like your journey throughout music, you've touched on this a little bit earlier on when you spoke about like the blinders being your influences and stuff. But has there been any like bands or artists, just people in general, that you've met along the way, whether you've been on tour, if they've come to your shows in general, that you take a lot of inspiration from?
Gavin's pushed us a lot as a producer, and really, really, really made the best out of our writing. I always think that once our tracks are recorded, that's when they start to develop even more, because Gavin adds a new layer and then we can add that live. I'd probably say he's probably one of my biggest inspirations, because he always knows how to bring out the best in us, and he loves us and our music and our art just as much as we do.
Well, that, I suppose that is away from music, isn't it? Because he's a producer and he's involved with it, but like, literally on a personal level, we all genuinely adore the bloke. I don't know, man, he put belief in us early on when we first sent him.
And we were shit.
When we first sent him the break demo, and he was like, I turned down so much shit, like I turned down a lot, and he does, but he listens to everything. He makes a point of listening start to end of every single song.
I think he said he worked about 20% of what he gets sent.
For us to even get accepted in the first place, but then for him to say, I'll only accept it if I believe in it, and then every time we've gone in the studio since, like, just the response from him has been even better. And I think that, more than anything, hearing it from like a figurehead of someone who has recorded the likes of like Robert Plant, Paolo Nutini. I think he recorded Celine Dion.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
What the fuck? A massive artist. Like, if he's talking smaller local artists, he did like Gold by Jaws. He did Sherlock's first album. Just to hear it from him, like, that pushes us more than anything, I think.
I think, also like our families as well, as cliche as it sounds, when we come home and play them the unreleased stuff that we just recorded, you can see their faces and like see like how excited they are, and I think they push us to do the extra because we know we can, and they give us the support for that as well.
So just to take a minute to talk about some of your live shows, are there any kind of like standout memories that you have, or like even standout shows in general? Kind of like key points in the last like couple of years for you guys?
We'd never done a headliner until this time last year. I think I can't remember the date that we did our first headliner. In the early days, we just supported people all the time. Every month we'd do a gig at the Sunflower Lounge and support whatever band came to town to 100 people, and that'd be it. And while that's all well and good for, bands that are starting off in the first 12, 18 months, after that you really need to start thinking about what attracts people to gigs apart from you going to the Sunflower Lounge every week. We did one in a secret location gig because we didn't want to really announce the venue, and that sold out. That was like 110 people at Mother's Studio. That one really sticks out for me because I really think that was like the start of us putting on a show and not a gig. Obviously the Warehouse gig was unreal in September last year. That was something else. Having like little bits of set to make it sort of look like a demolition zone, and
even for us, it's like, it sounds like we're blowing our own trumpet, but it's like we've never seen anyone do that. The fact that we did it is kind of like, I don't know.
It still blows my mind now. I don't know how we achieved it. It took so long and so much planning. We started planning that in May, and it was a long period of time. And I think that sticks out for more than the reason of just playing a gig, because we put our mates on, people we like, and then also just, working really hard. It was a 19, 20-hour day for us all. But if you want to make something memorable, then it's going to be like that. What would your other two be, Ty? I think I've touched on two.
I'd go for, we played Paris, man. We played Paris. Like, that's fucking unreal. Like, played this, apparently one of the most hip venues in Europe. It's got like this little balcony, and afterwards it turns into a club, a place called Supersonic. And it was just like, we had two French acts on before us, and then we went on and it was like packed out, and they were like, it's never this full on a Thursday. Like, and you saw people singing the words to our songs, and it's like, what the fuck, we don't even get this in England.
It was really weird, people singing our music who don't even understand how to have a conversation with us, but they can sing our lyrics.
But people like treating us like celebrities there, man. The backstage was bigger than the Sunflower Lounge, like just bigger than the actual Sunflower Lounge. It's ridiculous. And then the other one, there's another couple. Like, we played our first proper festival, which was Camper Calling, and that, like, everyone there loved us, and that's what we're supposed to be. We got invited back this year to play it, but if it might get cancelled, who knows. And then the other big one was just we had the experience from that Birmingham show. So then around the time of the election, we hired out this brewery in our hometown of Stourbridge and had the blinders on there for them any tour, and like we'd wanted to play with them for ages, so we got to play with them and like to do it in our hometown for a cause which, like, the result was gutting, but like, you know, to do our bit and do it with a band that like we've admired and ended up being friends with, I don't know, that one, they're probably the highlights for me.
Personally, like, one of my best memories, I know it is as well, was the Secret Location gig back in September. So obviously you've just touched on it a little bit, but can you tell us a bit more about your DIY shows and the amount of time and effort that you actually put into them? Because they are honestly like one of the most extravagant and well put together shows I've ever been to.
This is Connor's with his stage management degree.
It's a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of planning. The last one probably came to about $3,500. Made nowhere near that amount on the night, so we sort of have to invest a little bit into it. Sort of fishing around for the best prices, really, and seeing what you can get and seeing what mates you can do favours for to get the stuff back. And we sit down, start with a theme, then we storyboard what we can have, what we can do, and then I'll sort of go away, create some set ideas, see what we can come up with, see where I can get it from for a reasonable price.
See how many family members you can drag in to help you out.
Yeah. The logistics of it as well, because obviously, like, when we did the Secret Location show, believe it or not, we were playing 3 dates in a row. We did, I can't remember what we did, somewhere, then London, then Birmingham, but we did London the day before. So on the day before, I was driving around with my dad in a Luton box van, like one of the 3.5-ton wagons, just collecting everything around London because it was logical to get it from there. And then just like get to the venue for 9 o'clock in the morning. We finished rigging about 5 o'clock, and then it was just programming and sound checks and the normal. But realistically, we'd already done an 8-hour shift before then.
It's such a stressful day as well. So everything was going wrong. Me and Tom got sent. We got endorsed by Black Star, so they sent us our amps on the day. Was it? Yeah, it was on the day, wasn't it?
They got delivered outside.
Yeah, got our amps on the day of this gig. So we're there setting up. Our amps aren't even there. They get there. You know, we get them out, have a fuck about with them, and mine just wasn't working. Mine just didn't work. We had to take it apart, and like something had come loose. Luckily, that's all it was. But man, the amount of stress that goes through you just for like one little inconvenience on a date like that is mad.
It's worth it though when you see the reaction. Like, I still get, like, when I go into Birmingham, well, when I did go into Birmingham before COVID, but when I went into Birmingham to like go to a gig at Sunflower Lounge or the Castle or wherever, people like come and talk to you and they're like, "Oh, your Secret Warehouse show looks amazing," or you know, it's people still talk about it, and you know, we're it's nearly a year. We're like 6 or 7 months on from it. You don't get the same reaction from doing a headline at the Sunflower Lounge, which, as much as I love the Sunnies, like, I'd love to see somebody transform it and make it into something really cool and make it into a show rather than just a gig.
It's nice to be remembered for something like that, rather than just like, because you know, people can say, "Oh, like, sick band," but like, think how many bands hear that. But like, to be remembered for something specific like that.
The only problem with the big shows is that you have to top them every time. It's really difficult when you put your effort and time into something. It's really hard to grasp another idea and make it better. But I think for the next one, whenever it is, it's going to be decent.
Yeah, so a question for you, Connor. So we can see that you kind of have very different persona on and off stage, like everything, like the hair, like the kind of, like the makeup, everything. Is there anyone in particular that you kind of take inspiration from, where you kind of wanted to make it like completely a difference, kind of like I won't say like a facade, but kind of like just a big difference on and off stage, like?
It's definitely a character. I'm still not quite sure what it is, but it's a character.
We all like, it's the thing though, man. You go on stage and like we all have our own characters. It's like Connor's is fucking blatant, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's quite clearly a different person, you know what I mean? But man, who in their right mind wants to go on stage facing a couple of 100 people every week? Who wants to do that? No one wants to do like that's scary as shit, man. But we just got our characters.
It's hard to explain, man. I swear, it's like it's kind of like acting in a sense, really. For me, it's really a release. So like, I mean, there's elements of the character that I really don't like in actual people, and I like doing that just to sort of like in the angry songs, like the stuff and the songs with like real emotion. I guess you see a sort of change, but the arrogance of it is a character. I think, as Tyler said, it's hard to go out as yourself because our music isn't like me. Like I literally sit at home, read, eat, and watch the telly, like, and write lyrics all the time. Like, I write poetry all the time, every day. I'm writing as much as I can, and that's not that character on stage at all. That character is arrogant and is in your face, and as much as our music is that, a lot of the lyrics behind our music isn't.
And very like fragile, as opposed to like the fucking carnage that you actually see on the face of it.
And I think that is the fragility of it, and I think that's what I'm trying to achieve from it. You could say, even I really don't fully know what I'm doing with it still. But like, I feel what I portray at the moment is that even though there's a massive, arrogant, angry character in the front, realistically, there's still a lot of fragility and vulnerability behind it.
It's almost like he's always on the edge of a mental breakdown on stage, and that's kind of like the effect.
My life.
People always say that, don't they? Oh, is it not scary? Truth is, like, you think about it, and it should be scary. It should be fucking terrifying. For us, like, that's the easy part, man. We said in a few interviews in the past, the studio is our second favourite place, but our favourite place to be is the stage, wherever it is. You walk into a venue, you smell the fucking shitty beer, and your feet get stuck to the floor. You see the tiny stage and you figure out how you're going to move on it, and like you feel at home. When you actually go on stage, your brain just switches, and it's like any kind of fear that you had, it's just gone because you're in that character.
It's got to go. Like, it's got to go, because otherwise you don't give a show. The thought of like performing at the O2 Institute or the O2 Academy in front of like 3,000 people or whatever absolutely terrifies me.
So moving on to a slightly different topic a little bit. Know that the Novus is Latin for the new. So we want to ask you guys, what kind of new stuff are you going to try and bring forward in your music today, or on stage at shows, just in general to the community in the foreseeable future, when we coming out of lockdown?
I don't think we can answer that question. There's too much shit, too many little things.
Yeah, I mean, we've just been in the studio, so that'll give you a hint of what's to come. We don't know when, but you know, we're sitting on some good shit. We're all really proud of it, and
it sounds a little different.
It was a very different experience to what we're used to. We're used to going in the studio, coming away with a song and being like, oh yeah, this is really cool. But it was a very different experience for us all this time.
Yeah, one secret is we so you will know about the studio and stuff. Like, we have a little like documentary coming along.
I think we're ready to become a lot more personal with what we're doing, more than we already have been.
We had a lot of plans involving a fair few people, but obviously my man Corona has fucked a lot of that.
I thought it was Miss Corona.
It's Corona for bringing in all the
It's Corona flowers.
That's a good one. Are there any like messages that you guys really kind of want to make blatant to like just the world in general through like that's it.
It's absolutely doing my head in. Like, genuinely, on another note, I work in retail, and there is a lot of people on a daily basis coming in trying to live their normal lives. Stay at home, stay in quarantine, you're risking people's lives. It's a joke. That's my message.
I don't think he meant with Corona, if I'm honest. Is that what you meant, or did you mean with our music?
I just meant like in general, like
he said at the
messages that you guys want to get on now. Like, any messages like currently you want to give to people, or any messages that like you really want to make? I
think everything we do and everything that we say kind of just screams like, man, just don't be a prick. Love your friends. The only excuse is if they're a massive raging Tory, in which case might be a few exceptions.
Okay, so obviously you've just released a new single recently with the I-4 being Prosty and the B-4 being Darker. So I want to ask you guys, can you give us a bit of an insight into the meaning behind those songs and into whether there's a particular process you guys go through to write music?
The way I describe them is like, they're good songs, otherwise we wouldn't have put them out, but it's like they're immature compared to what we're writing now. It's like, and that doesn't mean they're bad at all. You know, they're good songs, we've got faith in them, hence why they're out.
I also think like the songs for us symbolise, if anything, that this is what we're leaving behind. I think Frosty's very much a farewell to before the last 12 months. And Frosty's an angry song, and it's like, well, the lyrics There's a lot of I don't want to knows in there, and for me, like, we really want to steer away from people going, oh, you know, why don't you play this song anymore? Why don't you play this song anymore? What happened to this song? You know, music's so personal, and writing is so personal that if we don't fully 100% want to be behind something, then we won't do it, because we as much as things are a character on stage, and you need to be comfortable with what you're doing and make sure that you are fully behind it. So for me, Frosty and Darkness are that. Our music just shows at the moment us maturing and going through the phases, and it's really strange, but the songs don't have any direct correlation to each other sometimes, but it literally shows us growing, and I think you can see that.
It's just a shame that Dive is still out there.
Yeah, Dive's going to go soon. If you want to keep Dive on your records, then you need to buy it, because it's going soon.
In terms of like songwriting and stuff, like we touched on it earlier, but with those two, with Frosty and Darkness, that was like early, and that was kind of around the time that we went to Connor and was like, "We got this project. Do you want to be involved?" And like, so me and Tom would sit and write the music together. That Frosty, pretty sure is Tom's music, and then Darkness is both. We'd like Connor says, take it to Connor, and at the time it was our old drummer, and we'd come up with something.
At the moment, a lot of our better songs that we've wrote have come from being lyrics first.
Yeah,
it's interesting in ourselves really to sort of see where it comes from.
So like throughout the time of you guys being a band, have there been any like barriers that you've had to face, or like? Because obviously everyone faces different things, but like obviously you just mentioned about how like some people have been like, well, why don't you play this anymore? Why don't you play that anymore? You should. And anything that's like stopped you, other than obviously what's going on and doing what you love at the moment.
Well, Connor's gone.
I don't think anyone can stop us, but things can stop us.
Yeah, it's like this is the biggest fucking barrier we faced so far.
This and money.
Yeah, money's always a big one, but I think every band will tell you that haven't got rich parents. Yeah, man, we don't really tend to be, we're not the kind of band that gets hated on, I don't think we're also a band that gets shut down, like, as in, like, like by management or by people. They're like, oh, you can't do this, you can't dance, because we've got the determination.
Yeah, the drive and determination to make sure things do work and do happen the way we want them to. You know, we're so obsessed with the idea that this is an art form and not just a gig and not just a piece of music, that we want to make sure everything's perfect.
We're very outspoken, so I don't think there's any like, I don't know, if people disagree with our opinions, they just won't be like our fans, and I think that's normally like they'll make a choice themselves. There doesn't have to be anyone like actively trying to stop us.
I'd say the only particular barrier I face is like, you'll notice, well, you won't notice, but I notice, like, when we go on, like, we've done a few tours now where there are a few days in a row, and the mental well-being side of being stuck in a van with each other for days on end is hell on,
because we'll fall out and then we'll like evaluate the fallout, be like, why the fuck's this happened, what's gone on? And it's like, it just always ends up coming down to like, it's like we've known each other 8 or something more years now, so it's like it's past being friends now, so it's falling out like your older brother. That for me is the barrier, is the mental state. Like, don't get me wrong, it's such a privilege to tour and to go to different places and play every night. It does take its toll when you're playing a gig, getting somewhere 3 hours away, playing a gig, and then driving 3 hours back to get back home because you didn't get paid enough to have a hotel, or it works out that going back home is just easier because you've got to go somewhere the next day that's the other way. Yeah, it's hard.
So I think pretty much approaching the end of all our questions, but before we go, is there anything you guys want to just like leave a final message, or like social media, or anything you guys want to get out there?
I mean, if you want to follow us, it's at the Novus Band on everything. We appreciate
our new tracks.
Yeah, listen to our new tracks, Frosty and Darkness. Apart from that, just stay safe and love each other and appreciate each other, because shit's going down.
Also buy some merch.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Can you buy some merch, please?
We'll put the link to that in the description below.
Oh,
can we do discount codes on the thing?
Yeah.
All right. If you message us, we'll give you a discount code. How about that then?
Yeah. Furlough discount.